All right, today we have Jeff Passan from ESPN. Jeff, thank you so much for joining us. It's nice to see you.
Great to see you too. I'm going to warn you guys in advance. You might be hearing like the dulcet tones of Prairie Village, Kansas in your background. Currently sitting in my office with a window open because we have a 7-month-old puppy, and she escaped earlier today from the area where she's supposed to be spending her time, went directly to my office and took a shit right there. Like it was like she targeted it. And so I've had the window cracked all day trying to get Daisy Passan's refuse out of
Daisy. I was going to
this.
ask what the name was. That's great.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it is the most ill-suited name. She is not fresh like a daisy. She is like she's a golden doodle and she's a very pretty girl. But God, she is just a scumbag in every way. Just like
I
We
the
call our dog a
dirtiest,
sh we call our
best.
dog a shit machine because
but this
that's
feels
what
like
she
very
does.
pointed.
Yeah.
It feels very pointed to go directly into your office. I feel like she's taking exception to the fact that you called her that. Like, how dare you? I am not a lady. I am a destroyer of worlds.
That
So,
that's no, that's exactly what she is. We want her to be like, our older dog is 8 years old, and every time she sits down, she does so very daintily, and then she crosses her paws like this, and
aw.
she's saying, "I am a glamorous lady, and you'll respect me as such." Daisy, no, not so much.
Yeah.
Maybe she'll grow into that. Maybe she'll evolve. But for now, she's just the dog who goes and finds Dad's office and defiles it.
Well, I'm glad you're here to talk baseball with us while you're currently being fumigated in your own office. And for that, I am deeply grateful. So I just kind of wanted to challenge. I am fascinated by your job, even though I am a baseball reporter. As you reach the trade deadline, what is your life like?
Oh boy. I don't sleep a whole lot, generally speaking. Like I do not maintain healthy hours, so it's almost like it's in preparation for
Right.
times like this, where if there's a call at 2 o'clock in the morning, I'm not picking it up all bleary eyed and trying to get my brain functioning. It's just still going on at that point. But it's a lot. Like
Yeah.
it's trying to figure out what all 30 teams are doing and who's telling you the truth and who's not and who's actually going to move and who's not and how much speculation is reasonable versus just throwing stuff out there that's going to get people talking. That's not my style at all. My style is way
Right.
more like if I have information, uh, you know, keep it close to the vest unless I know something's happening. And then when something's happening, that's when I put it out there into the world. But there are always, there are always different scenarios that call for different approaches, and you just have to be flexible in terms of how you approach things. I remember when Max Scherzer got traded a few years ago, and I think it was to the Rangers. And when he was getting traded to the Rangers, I remember like I didn't print anything until it was like done. And every other reporter was out there doing like the step by step thing. And I'm not an incremental journalism guy, but in that instance, when I looked back on it, I feel like maybe I should have been more so because if you recall, that trade necessitated Max Scherzer signing off on it, and so it's
Right.
like there was an agreement in principle, but he hadn't said yes at that point, even though he had indicated he likely would say yes. And I was just waiting for the end, and by the time like all the I's got dotted and T's got crossed, everyone else had it and I hadn't said a word about it at that point. And so it's a lot of self-assessment. Like, am I doing this right, even though I've done this for, I think this is my 23rd season now. Even though I've done it for that long, there are still things I don't do right and that I have to learn from and figure out how the next time this comes along, I'm going to do it better than I did this time.
I
I mean,
saw.
that is kind of an
Oh yeah, sorry. Go ahead,
go ahead
Laura.
for it. No, I was gonna say that is kind of an interesting facet, the idea of doing something for 23 years and still feeling like you have to improve on yourself, because I don't necessarily know that a lot of people get that way. A lot of people are like, oh, I'm here, and I'm going to have this job until the day I die, so let's just stick it right there.
No,
I mean,
and that is like that's a totally reasonable thing, honestly. Like I look
I don't
back and
know.
I've done this for a while, and there are certain days where it's like, wow, I have done this forever, and I could just put a stamp on this story and mail the motherfucker in. Like I could very easily do that, get away with it. It would be fine. My bosses would say, that whatever. Readers, maybe they wouldn't know the difference, but I'm not wired that way, man. Like when I'm done, I'm gonna like do the whole Woj throw the phone in the ocean.
Do you have two
It's
phones, or what are we working with?
I mean, I have a iPhone burner and I have a flip phone burner. The flip phone,
Oh,
yeah, the flip phone
That's
burner.
elite.
that is,
Yeah.
yeah, that's like drug dealer style.
Seriously, I'm trying to be like The
You,
Wire.
you walk into a Sprint store, you're like, I need a couple flip phones, prepaid.
I no, you don't go
No
to the
questions
Sprint
asked.
store for that, bro. You go to like the janky gas station for that one. Like you can't go official or formal. Like the
Right.
government doesn't need to know about these phones.
I have this like mental image of like someone buying a flip phone next to like elephant pills, like those weird sort of
Yeah.
like
Yeah, it's like
prophylactic pills that they
yeah,
throw out there.
there was a baseball player who once got suspended for using an over-the-counter pill called Cock Rocket.
Amazing.
And Cock Rocket has been my fantasy baseball team name for quite a while now.
That is an
Personally.
incredible story. I mean, speaking of suspensions, what's going on? Do we have an update with Luis Ortiz from the Guardians?
Yeah, the
Oh,
sense I've
geez.
gotten there is
That's
that
a
I mean, how about
yeah,
that for a transition?
that's a
God.
that is a mess, and they're still in the investigatory stage right now, so nothing has been determined. It's interesting though, right? Like, how do you prove intent in that situation? How do you tie these bets that were made on these individual pitches together with Luis Ortiz? Now, if there's a direct connection there, I'm not sure he's ever going to play baseball again.
Mhm.
But if there is just the flag that was sent out by the betting integrity firm on these specific pitches, and Ortiz saying, I know nothing about them. I just threw, the first one actually was not a terrible pitch. It was a slider that was low, but not out of the ordinary. The second one went like 50 feet. It was really like you see that and you're like, "Ew, that's not great." But in order for there to be any sort of disciplinary action, there needs to be like substantial evidence to back that up, because we're talking about people's careers here. In the
Yeah.
case of Tucupita Marcano, there were hundreds of bets that were placed on baseball, and they were placed from his account. So that's a pretty obvious one right there. Major League Baseball player bet on Major League Baseball. That's a lifetime ban. In this case with Ortiz, though, I'd be fascinated, especially with Brian Seeley, who is the head of Major League Baseball's Department of Investigations, leaving to go and run essentially the new NCAA clearinghouse that is going to be in charge of everything with NIL and enforcing that. MLB's Department of Investigations, Moira Weinberg is now going to be in charge, and this is a pretty big first case for her to have.
I guess you have to
Yeah,
prove
and
like. Yeah, beyond like a reasonable doubt, kind of like a court case, if you will.
Though no, it's interesting though because let's remember Major League Baseball justice is different than the justice enshrined in the Constitution. Like
Right.
MLB's threshold, for example, Trevor Bauer never was charged. MLB suspended him for 324 games originally. So the threshold of justice in MLB is what MLB determines, as opposed to anything in the legal strictures that exist in America.
Yeah, and I learned that from Eight Men Out because at the end they, Charlie Sheen and all those guys, they didn't get charged with the crime, but then they brought in an independent commissioner. And I believe that's how that started. And then Shoeless Joe Jackson and all those guys, although never found guilty in a court of law, the MLB commissioner suspended them. I've been thinking about ways like how I would throw a baseball game and how I would kind of get away with it. Perhaps, bases loaded with 2 outs, bunting with 2 strikes. I think that would be
That wouldn't be obvious.
obvious way, or getting intentionally caught in a rundown. Jeff, any ideas how if you were a player, you might
How
show
you
the
throw a
the
baseball
the
game?
betting the betting community
You know
that
what?
you were in on it?
I am going to respectfully pass on this
Got it.
question.
I feel like that's the
This
correct
is
thing to do.
I tried.
this is like when my kids are trying to get away with something and they're terrible at it. And I sit there thinking like you could have done this so many different ways and actually gotten away with it. But I'm never going to say it audibly. Like I don't
Right.
want to give them any ideas. Not to suggest that me saying something on this podcast would necessarily like
You'd
Incriminate
cajole.
be
you?
surprised.
Yeah. But let's say I bring something up and then it actually happens in real life.
Right.
I don't
And it
want
could
to be
all
tied to
trace
that.
it back to this.
Yeah,
And how
No.
funny would that be?
I'm learning. See, I'm learning my lesson every day, and it gets back, Laura, to try and just get a little better every day. I'm learning my lesson on podcasts. You know,
Great.
telling Yankees fans to STFU. It's a bad idea. Shouldn't do that, Jeff. Like, no matter how animated you're
Right.
getting or how passionate you feel about the subject, it is not worth it. Uh, I think when I said that, it's like part of me is is almost jealous that Yankees fans have that level of expectations for the organization and for themselves. And I'm reading a book right now. Mike Vaccaro is has written a book on the Steinbrenner family, and it's first off, it's so
Mhm.
good. It's so good. Vac
He's
is
such a good writer. Oh my
he's a
God.
phenomenal writer. I love that the New York Post has really good writers like Vac
Right.
And Joel Sherman. Like they're
He was like
like
the Ernest Hemingway of like sports reporting.
yeah, no, they're very talented. And I think the way that Vac frames the Steinbrenner family and just the way that they have become synonymous with the New York Yankees, right? Like they are the through line for the last 50 years of New York Yankees baseball, and they have irrevocably shaped it in their image. And it's so interesting to see the image of George Steinbrenner versus the image of Hal Steinbrenner, and how the
Right.
organizations follow their leader in that respect, and how Hal intentionally is not like his father, and yet we have Yankees fans who understandably yearn for the days of George Steinbrenner, because even though he didn't do things with any sort of rationality or efficiency or those things that now uh, really are part of almost every Major League Baseball team and are sought after by baseball teams, uh, even though Hal embodies none of what his father has, fans can't give it up. They can't
No,
evolve. They can't get past it. And I understand why, because, as sports fans, what we want, all we want is a winner. And it's so much more like primal to have it be a winner from chaos than it is to be a winner from efficiency. Efficient winning is kind of boring. And I think
Yes.
New York wants a story. It's what I love about New York so much and about New York sports. New York sports fans want a great story, and they haven't gotten one with the Yankees in, decade and a half.
It's interesting that you bring it up that way because I often think about the dichotomy between the Mets fandom and the Yankee fandom in that way. Whereas the Mets have not had the sustained success for over a long period of time, their fandom tends to revel in the chaos. And Yankee fandom tends to kind of just like want that consistent dynastic sort of victory. And when the two mesh together, like the Subway Series this past weekend, I'm like, what a weird confluence of two very different groups of people who absolutely despise each other, and it's
They
beautiful to
do.
watch.
It's great. I love sports rivalries so much because
Best.
they bring out the best in us and the worst in us simultaneously. And that stew that you get from that, it's unbeatable. It really is.
Yeah. You talk about wanting to be a little bit better, and I want to be a little bit better, but I also want to be a little bit worse every single day and have both
I find that when I
kind
mean
of come together.
yeah, the Cardinals played the Cubs over the weekend, and everybody was just, oh, Pete Crow Armstrong is the GOAT. He's the next like lives rent free in the Cardinals' heads. And then the Cardinals fans will reply with the videos of him forgetting that there was only two outs, and we scored. I think it was Mason Wynn from second on a sac fly. So it was just this back and forth thing. That
Did
rivalry is
you
great.
let me ask you guys this? Did you like social or fandom more before or since social media?
Oh, it's difficult to say because I feel like social media has kind of put it to the forefront. Part of it is so terrible and so toxic, but part of it is also so much funnier now
Yeah,
because of social media.
that
If you
And
no,
I
get
that
the
live
if you get
for
the
the
clever
jokes.
fans, if you get the clever fans from the bulk of the comments, because like some people do have these really good owns, and they'll put out some great statistic or something from somewhere and just body people, or it's like a D's nuts joke.
I
And
love
then,
it.
but then, like for every one of those, you have like 10 idiots. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you can filter through kind of the morons, then you get to the cream of the crop on good comments.
I will say this. I mean, for like in the nascent days of baseball Twitter, um, like Cardinals fans who say dumb shit were like,
Oh, I was one of them for sure. And then I kind of turned the page on that. But every time
then you
somebody
sold
would,
out and did a podcast.
yeah, for real. I'm still, rocking the birds on the
Ridiculous.
bat. So there's that. But
It's a
Put it
beautiful.
down.
It is
yeah.
like the
It's a beautiful
Cardinals when they're
jersey.
wearing powder blue is a beautiful jersey.
Oh, for sure. But
My
every
favorite.
time, some like Jed Jerko would strike out and be like, "This team, never gonna win a World Series, never going anywhere." And the
Well,
dog days.
you guys are younger than me, so perhaps you can help answer this question for me.
Okay, I'm ready.
Why is it that people are compelled to tell the world everything they're thinking?
I think I have an answer to this. I have a feeling that we all feel so insignificant and that everyone is trying to be the main character of their story
Yeah.
without realizing the fact that the last thing anyone should ever want to be is Twitter's main character for the day. That is the worst.
I've been there. I know what that's like.
Actually, I
Eh,
have a question for you. When you are interacting with fans on Twitter, because frankly, some of your takedowns are just genuinely belong in the Louvre. How do you decide when and how to react or interact with the jackass contingent?
I delete a lot more than I reply to. Um,
Yeah.
it should be more formulaic than it is, honestly, because that's the safer thing to do. And I sometimes lose sight of the fact that I'm in the position that I'm in and I shouldn't say something. Like there's quite often more downside than there is upside to it. But I try to limit it to like to things that are going to be funny and not entirely mean-spirited, but also like there's a little bit of like corner policing going on. Um, if somebody's saying something that's rude or obnoxious or ignorant, and I can hopefully like, what's the right way to put it? Um, it's not righting a wrong, but it's it's making sure that baseball has voices that are
Yeah.
there to say the right things about how to view the sport. And a
Yeah.
perfect example of this is why does Rafael Devers not speak English? Because it's okay. Because you don't have to speak English. Or why, Shohei Ohtani, same thing. Um, because it's okay for people to be who they are. And if that doesn't align with the way that you see the world, that's okay too. We can have our differences without trying to bring people down because of them. And I'm not going to say that I'm trying to be like a font of positivity because some of my tweets might suggest otherwise. But at the same time, it's like there's a responsibility I feel like I have not to be like a positive voice for the sport or for Major League Baseball, but to illustrate that baseball can and should be fun and can and should be for everyone who wants to watch it. And everyone should because it's an incredible game.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel I 100% agree with that. When I think about some of the replies, I get some trolls because I dare to be a woman in a man's space. How dare I? And it used to be upsetting, and now I enjoy almost clapping back too much, so I have to stop
I
myself.
know, I know. I've gone through that same thing. I also
With great
like
power comes great responsibility, guys.
Seriously.
I
Yeah,
tend
Jeff, some of your I mean, I saw one yesterday that was waiting for Jeff Passan to confirm, but sounds like I have a lifetime contract to sign. And it was a guy who just got engaged. And then your comment was sources confirmed, coverage outkicked. Hilarious. But I saw other people roasting this guy for like the first thing you do after you got engaged was at Jeff Passan.
I, you know,
Among Us.
and you know what? That actually like that bothered me. It bothered me that people were taking someone else's moment and
Yeah.
trying to lessen it. And
Right.
like I've known Jack Ramsey for a while now. Like his father worked at ESPN forever. Like really good kid. And I was flattered that he thought of me in that instance. Like it's really cool to be part of it. And this is the same thing. Like my son committed to play college baseball, and I tweeted about that, and he came to me later that day, and he was like, "How do you deal with people like being negative all the time?"
Yeah.
And it's like it's easy for me to say. I'm 44 years old. I've seen some things. I've lived life. I've raised kids. I've been married forever. All of those things, they come with strife, and they come with those moments where you question yourself and you question your actions and you question everything around you. But at the end of the day, like I'm going to do what's comfortable and what's best for me and my family. And if anyone doesn't like it, they're perfectly entitled to that. But don't try and make it about yourself. Like this was Jack's moment. I'm thrilled that as a joke he put that in there because baseball is a big part of his life, and the fact that I exist in this universe that's part of that is so cool and such like an amazing part of this job that people think like that to me is the best part of this job. I got into it to tell stories, right? And that's still, beyond the TV, beyond the social media, like my favorite thing to do by far still is write and inform people about who these human beings are. So to know that I am part of moments in people's lives that they're going to remember, whether it was when they got the alert that Juan Soto signed with the Mets or that Garrett Cole signed with the Yankees or any of these, hundreds of things that are happening every year that I'm lucky enough to tell the story for. That's cool. That's the sort of connection that did not exist until social media, and something that, for all of its ills, I'm really appreciative that it's part of my life now.
Yeah. And
I did notice
echo.
something on Twitter,
Yeah.
and I think about it a lot. It's like, you found your people when all your phones kind of like vibrate at the same time, and it's a Jeff Passan alert.
in
It's
a
kind of cool.
in an
Yeah.
echo chamber of negativity that is Twitter, it's good to find a refreshing voice such as yours, if we may. We're talking
Well,
about
fuck you, man.
yes,
Thank you.
that's what we
Thank you.
needed. We were talking about trades and stuff, and I saw you commenting on Jesse Rogers' story that you almost learned that Felix Hernandez was almost a Milwaukee Brewer and Manny Machado was nearly an Arizona Diamondback. Were there any other almost trades or sliding door moments that happened that came to the top of your head over the past couple of years that might surprise people behind the scenes?
Um, Here's the thing about those types of stories. I never know when I hear like we were talking with someone how far along it actually was. Like the Bryce Harper to the Yankees one would have been pretty cool. Um,
That would be amazing.
yeah. But I when the trade deadline is over, like Laura, you were asking earlier for what my life is like. When the trade deadline is over, I pretty much go back to the courtyard in Bristol, um, and collapse. And sometimes there will be phone calls over the next few days where I catch up. But teams are so focused on like what they have ahead that once August 1st comes along, it's like the whole month of July and all the time that they spent there, like it's in the past. Doesn't matter now.
Yeah.
So I need to make it a point to like ask guys who I'm talking with this month, what's the greatest almost trade that never happened? And try and get more stories like that, because I thought Jesse did an awesome job on that story, and it was so cool reading through some of those deals that had been discussed that frankly I didn't even know. Like Felix Hernandez with the Brewers just would have been weird.
It's crazy to think
It's so
about
strange.
outside of
Yeah.
Seattle in general, you know?
Yeah.
He was so. Here's one trade that mystified me on a personal note. St. Louis Cardinals traded
Wow,
Tommy
we're going
Edman
back
to
to the
the
Cardinals.
Dodgers and received pitcher Eric Fetty and outfielder Tommy Pham from the White Sox. What were the Cardinals thinking, Jeff?
I mean, they were thinking that they have a bunch of infielders and that Tommy Edman couldn't stay healthy. And I'm just trying to rationalize this a little bit. I don't disagree. It was not their best trade, but they've sent a lot of talent away over the last like 10 years on top of that. I mean, whether it's Alcantara, Gallon, or Rosarena. I'm sure there are others that Dolis Garcia.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's it hasn't been great.
mystifying.
I will say this. I will say this. I enjoy watching the 2025 Cardinals play. I think they
They're
play I
fun.
I think they play a good brand of baseball. I love good defensive teams. It's why I enjoy watching them. I enjoy watching the Blue Jays. Like teams that can like play in the field are my jam. So uh the Cardinals have that going for them. The Cardinals though, so I'm doing a story right now. It's going to be running Thursday. And it's going to be the best fit to trade for at the deadline for each of the contending clubs. I'm having trouble figuring out who for the Cardinals.
But
Who's the answer there?
I mean, some people
it's
think that we move Lars Nootbaar for some pitching. I don't know if I totally agree with that, but our infield is set. It's just the myriad of outfielders that we have in this rotation that obviously we are in dire need of pitching. I mean, Eric Fetty and Miles Michaelis both have ERAs of north of 5.
Is Fedez over 5 now?
It has to be at this point. His last two starts, I don't even think he made it out of the first inning, or the last three starts, maybe even.
Yeah,
But
yeah, that's a fair. It
the
is
home
not.
run derby that Miles Michaelis put on the 4th of July, in favor of the Cubs.
Yeah, Fetty's at 4.79.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not great. I'll say this, at least he throws innings. Like you need, we want a rotation full of ones and twos, but if you gave me a rotation with 1 through 5 of like number 4 caliber starters, I can make a playoff team out of that. Like
Yeah.
it's just with starting pitchers, it's almost as much about consistency as it is excellence. Looking at the whole of a team. Now, are you going to make it far in the playoffs without? Like, you need a dynamic bullpen to back those guys up, and you can ride a bullpen to a World Series. Like we have
The
seen that.
Dodgers did.
Yeah, I mean Dodgers did. The Royals. This was back in 2015, but the dominant bullpen they had at the back end, and because of the off days, like that's especially the thing. Like guys can stay fresh in October more than they can during the season. Where if you have back to back days, you're going to need at least one, maybe 2 days down. And in the postseason, those days are built into the schedule, so you can theoretically pitch every game.
And you kind of bring up a fascinating point here because I was covering the Mets last year during their playoff run, and you just saw their arms get tired
Yeah.
because you just didn't have guys who could eat those types of innings. So how do you construct a team that can make it into the playoffs but then survive in a post-playoff world? A lot of that has to do with, yeah, those dynamic bullpen arms, but the fact of the matter is you're going to need like your Lance Lynn like innings eaters to get you there to make sure that those arms are capable of performing in October.
And the really interesting thing about the bullpen, getting relievers pitching a lot in October is the familiarity factor. Like that's a real thing. When you see guys
Yeah,
multiple times in the same series, all of a sudden the looks, uh, you know, they're not very different. Like you know what you're getting. You know what the stuff looks like. You know how it moves. You know what his tendencies are. There's so much information in baseball. It's one of the things that I really love about the game. It's such a thinking person's game, and the people who really put in the time and effort to study what's in front of them can benefit greatly from it and can become the kind of player that I don't think in past generations guys would be, just because they didn't know, because you were more or less limited to what your skill set gave you as opposed to
right.
how your skill set reacts with the information that you have in an effort to build a better version of yourself.
Yeah, I do like this advent of like the thinking man's pitcher, this guy who takes all the data and tries to make it work it's not for everybody. Because I do
Yeah,
sometimes
and
ask
and
guys,
so, and
are you that
sometimes
guy? Are you not that guy?
sometimes it's too much too. Like
Yeah,
I remember there was a very highly touted pitching prospect, and I was talking in spring training about him with his manager, and he kept saying he's never going to be good. I was like, why? He's like, because after every pitch he looks at the track man, and he's not learning how to compete. He's not learning how to get guys out. He's learning how to throw the perfect version of a pitch in a lab. And and look, you can have both of those things. They're not mutually exclusive. But if you're so focused on the metrics and you don't have quite the same level of compete, of knowledge, of feel on the field, you're never going to be able to take this wonderful thing that you've built and go and apply it and execute it. And
yeah,
that to me is so much of the battle. It's the application and the execution. Like it's easy to figure out how to do something great. It's a lot harder to figure out how to do something great when someone's standing 60 feet and 6 inches away with a 33-inch, 31-ounce implement in their hand that they can take your great thing and send it 450 feet.
right. And I think we're gonna kind of see this battle, especially as more and more pitchers and hitters are going to all these various like the driveline academies and all these other, they're going to their hitting gurus and everything else.
Mhm.
How do you balance the see the ball, hit the ball with, well, here's all this biometric data that I've just gotten, and like I spent my entire life just slamming the hell out of this ball, but let me just change my batting stance this much, and suddenly I can't hit things anymore.
Yeah, and I think finding that balance is the key for every player in baseball these
Yeah.
days, and that's why coaching is so important too. It's like what coaches can get to know a player well enough to understand what he needs and to understand what is likely
Right.
to bring the best version of him out in himself. And I think in successful cases, in successful seasons, breakout seasons, we quite often see that. Like that's the root of it. We figured out that balance. We now understand what he responds and reacts to, and he now understands what we're trying to give him.
Yeah. It's a beautiful sport. Beautiful, very stupid sport.
Stupid as shit.
And it's coming to the halfway point, the All-Star break. Are you excited for that, or you have any feelings about the rosters? Any snubs?
They're all gonna make it anyway. I think no, I think honestly, I think the All-Star game is I think there are too many players who go already. I want to see the I want to see the All-Star game where the starting pitcher goes at least 5 innings and where the starters play for at least seven. Like
Yeah. I want to see Paul Skeens go third time around the order.
hell yes, exactly.
Do it.
You laugh, but that's I mean it's kind of how it used to be. And
Yeah.
and there are a lot of things about old time baseball that like I'm way out on, but I think they used to do the All-Star game right. And
Yeah,
I
so
think
that your
it's
favorite player might not even play. Like might not even have a
and
an
you
at
know what?
bat.
Like that's okay.
I think so too.
Yeah, that's cool. Like congratulations, you got an All-Star game at bat that nobody remembers.
Well,
And
I mean,
I
it used to have
like
the stakes of who's hosting the World Series, and then
no.
moved
Yeah,
away from.
I thought that sucked. I
Really, I kind of liked it. I don't know. I
I
mean,
don't
the
think
AL
It was the
won
I
like
only
almost
reason I
every year,
watched.
but
I never thought that an exhibition game should determine like
then
I
it
feel
makes you
like
care more, right? I mean, isn't that the thing,
bro,
ish?
I grew up in Cleveland and I live in Kansas City. There's not a lot of World Series in our presence or past. Like in Cleveland we had 90 95 and we had 97. And after that there was not a whole lot. In Kansas City we had 2014 and 2015 and hasn't been a whole lot since. So that's a New York problem. Like that's something that you guys deal with a lot more than I do.
That is very, very fair.
Ready to
So, do we
rapid
want
fire
to
questions?
wrap up? Or would you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're getting to the last
You
of
have
this,
like
so
5 minutes for like some rapid fire questions
yeah,
before
we got a
we.
barrage to throw at you, Jeff.
Fire away.
All right, you ready? Here we go. Favorite stadium food?
Nachos. And
Great.
what I do they do nachos really poorly at the stadium now, but my favorite thing to do when I was a kid, they like you would have a whole big like it rather than the prepackaged bullshit cups that they do now, like you would have someone ladle like a whole thing into this plastic container that I'm sure has like microplastics inside of me still from my childhood nachos, but it's like this hot bubbling cheese and I would take chips and I would put them halfway in and I would let them sit there for a couple of minutes and then I would fold over the soft, delicious cheesy chip on its other crunchier half and I would have a really good like textural element to it. So that's my
This
way.
sounds delightful.
It was
I will
great.
say the nachos at City Field, if you go to the Goya corner or whatever, they
It's a
just like
helmet.
ladle it in there
It's
in the
a it comes in
Really?
a
helmet.
helmet.
Oh,
Yes,
hell yeah.
it does.
That's a
So,
great system, Jeff Passan's nacho system. Favorite stadium to visit?
I love San Francisco. I love Pittsburgh. I love Wrigley. I love Fenway. Those are my top. That's my stadium Mount Rushmore.
Perfect.
that's perfect.
Yeah.
Yes.
Favorite baseball movie?
The Sandlot.
Yeah. Yeah, that was on over the weekend and it's a goat. Close catapult. Uh
I should
I'm a
honestly.
major league girl.
I was gonna say I should say Major League.
I mean,
Maybe
yeah, as a Cleveland guy, but
I mean Major League was pretty perfect, but I feel like The Sandlot just captures everything about baseball's romanticism. And maybe I'm just at that period in my life with like a kid going off to college soon and another one who's going to be in high school soon where I'm feeling a little romantic about things.
You're getting soft?
I've always been soft, Laura. The crusty exterior you see on Twitter is merely a facade.
It's just nougat. It's an
That's,
interior of
that's
nougat.
exactly right.
We all need to throw in a horseshoe at Chaw and get on a roller coaster ride. And
Oh my
yeah.
God, that was such a
When
great
that scene
scene.
came on, I was like, I totally forgot about this. What is that? Chaw.
I
Uh,
actually asked my kid a couple days ago if he dipped at all, like because I think
did
he
he lie to
knows
you?
he's kind of a straight shooter.
Got
Like
it.
he's and not a teetotaler per se, but yeah, he never tried it. Apparently, Zin is very popular among young ball players. So
There's a free ad
We're,
for
we're,
Zen.
we're we're just regressing at this point.
Yeah. Favorite player to watch growing up?
Jose Canseco,
Mm.
Ooh.
and then I met him,
Also
and
fun on Twitter.
You met him. Never meet your heroes, kids.
Our major heroes.
I loved Frank Thomas too. Like I'm thinking of like the baseball cards that I still have and who I had the most cards of. And it was Canseco at first, then Frank Thomas. I had a lot of junior cards. Like the junior 89 upper deck is still like one of the more iconic pictures of my childhood. So and then like all the 90s Indians were awesome. It was
Yeah.
I still think best collection of talent ever in baseball history not to win a World Series.
Mm. Wow. That's a good argument to be made. Favorite city to explore on the road?
I'm not much of a city explorer, but favorite city to go to is unquestionably New York.
Mm. Okay. That was a Laura question. Uh,
Well, hold on.
I'm just looking for tips. I'm on the road all the time now. I
Yeah,
took
I
a
was like,
Mets
isn't
beat
that the
against my
same as ballpark? She's like, no, it's different because the city's outside the ballpark. It's like, okay, fair enough.
yeah, I feel like I'm gonna be more of an explorer when I retire. Like that's the uh,
that's fair.
it's just because let's say I want to go to a museum, right? And I'm excited to go to this museum and I get my ticket and I walk in and 10 seconds later I get a text.
Mm.
Right.
I could be Grandpa Simpson just coming in, dropping his hat off, and turning right around and going right back out. And so I've been a little PTSD'd by my job essentially like owning me, which it kind of
Yeah.
does.
We love a good Simpsons reference on this pod for sure.
Oh, you will get plenty.
Love that. Favorite concert ever attended?
I went and saw. It was not the best music that I've ever seen, but when I was at the Super Bowl with my son in Las Vegas, uh, I went with a couple of my best friends and saw Wu-Tang Clan play. And
Oh, that's sick.
and it
That's
was
absolutely sick.
it was it was one of those moments where it's like I've grown to tried to grow to appreciate things more and getting to go see a group that you listened to as you were growing up and throughout college and like they can still bring it now 20 years later. The whole thing was pretty damn cool.
Oh, that's awesome in Vegas too.
That is very cool.
That's really cool. Are you the new mascot for Williams College baseball?
Absolutely. I will do whatever. Do you know what the mascot of Williams College is?
I know they're D3,
Yep.
No,
but
but I
no,
want
yeah,
to.
It is a purple cow, and their nickname is the Ephs,
love
but
it.
spelled EPHS.
That's so
I
confusing on a lot of levels.
I think you need to be wearing swag. Like you need to be having like a shirt with the cow on it.
I do have a purple tie and a gold pocket square.
Perfect.
So like
Yes.
I'm fully like if I'm wearing ties like that, that's how I'm gearing up. But yes,
Oh yeah.
there will be Williams baseball hoodies galore in this household.
Love that. Love the
Fantastic.
support.
And
Will
I
the
could,
Mets win a World Series in the next 5 years?
Yes.
Will the Cardinals win a World Series in the next 5 years?
Nope.
Love it. Bar etiquette pet peeves. People leaving glasses on the table, people not tipping. Any tips out there for us?
Bar etiquette pet peeves. Hmm. I know I have a good one somewhere in here, and I wish I would have had a little time to think about it. And right now I'm filibustering as I try to think of something good. And I'm absolutely failing because truth is, like, I don't spend as much time in bars now as I did once upon a time. Um,
Fair enough. No worries.
Shoot, I wish I had something good. Can you get,
That's
can you,
okay.
no, can you give me some
Uh,
other,
yeah, I
like,
mean, like
what's a typical one
I
here?
always said, like, if don't leave your glasses on the table, like if you're at a bar, like I'm not talking like you're at like like a restaurant where you have a server come over, but like if you're
You know what I hate? I hate the asshole who cuts the drink line.
there, you go.
Don't cut the drink
Oh,
line.
That's a good one. Yeah,
Everybody is waiting and everybody is not happy to be there. And the bartender's trying to do the absolute best that he or she can to get you drinks on time.
yeah.
Like there's no socializing going on. They're just trying to work. So wait your turn, child.
There you go.
thank you.
That's the
Thank
pro
you.
tip. That's the bar etiquette pet peeve. All right.
There you go.
Final one. Favorite sports podcast.
The Ryan Russillo podcast.
Nice.
I li- I enjoy
Well
I
done.
you know I like Rosillo. I like Rosillo because he is not just conversant but knowledgeable across multiple sports. I think being a generalist in modern sports media is the absolute hardest thing you can do because sports media companies have gotten rid of them. Like
It's
the general columnist at the newspaper is almost dead. The general assignment reporter at newspapers, someone who can cover a wide swath of sports, barely exists anymore. And that's one thing I used to love doing. I covered four Olympics, and I've covered a Stanley Cup Finals. I've covered PGA majors. I've covered football games, NFL games, college football playoff championship. I've covered NBA games. I covered college basketball for years. Like, I love the fact that I can parachute in somewhere and 3 hours later come away with 1,000 decent words. It's like one of the biggest challenges, I think, and I don't get to do it anymore. And I'm okay with that.
yeah.
My job's awesome. My life's great. Sometimes you got to give things up along the way that you really enjoyed. But the way that Rosillo talks intelligently about all sports, I think, is extraordinarily rare, and much respect to him for that.
I always
I love that. I
appreciated
can't believe I sold out. That was my old job, and now I'm a Mets beat reporter. Thanks for making me feel bad about my choices, Jeff.
You're welcome. Listen, you and I both made it. And yet, Laura, here we are talking on this podcast from the room where my dog took a shit earlier. So I'd say we are winning at life.
There we go.
Can't put it any better than that. I always appreciated Russillo's life advice segment on his podcast.
It's
Always
great.
loved it. And his time with SVP back in the day on ESPN Radio. That was a staple for me. Good stuff. I don't think we can get any better than that, Jeff. The dog taking
Thank
a shit
you.
on the floor. Maybe that's the title of this episode. Maybe that's the title of this episode. I don't know.
Would be
Well,
appropriate.
yep. Laura, you got anything else?
That's it, Jeff. Thank you so much, and thank you to Daisy for really giving this podcast a little bit of an extra some oomph, some aroma, if you will.
I was just going to say, for giving it a particular scent.
A particular
Really
a
wonderful.
je ne sais quoi.
Thank you for having me, guys.
Of
Have a good
course.
one.